Hey guys, how you doing? Doing alright? Working hard? Protecting the iron golem farm? Well, good job. Yeah, little army of pigmen that I'm training for Panda. Not sure what he's going to do with them, but right now I've equipped them with the basic gear, stone swords, you know, and a little upgrade from their gold swords. Well, maybe he'll decide on something to do with them in the future, but for now they're just protecting the farm here. The Iron Trench, or I don't know, I guess we could still call it the Iron Trench even though we don't have the trench where they fall into anymore. But yeah, this is Tango Tech's design, more or less, with some ZipKrowd flavor added to it. Lots of contributions from the ZipKrowd members. You've probably already seen this in JL Server Tour, but we didn't really go into detail on how it works, so I want to spend a little bit of time and talk about that in this episode. So, no individual stuff yet. Just going to do some more talking about community stuff here, but since this is what I worked on for the past couple weeks, I want to make sure that I talk about it. And of course, you're probably curious to know all the differences anyway, so I thought I'd talk about that here. So let's get started. Right now the Iron Golem farm is in a reset. You can see the pistons here are currently going. You just heard some stuff go off. So we won't see any golems spawn for a while, but we can talk about all the stuff that's changed. And the biggest changes are we made this easily stackable. We removed the water and stuff here, used hoppers, lava, killing floors there. I'll go up on the side and show you that. So this is just water, glass. There's a layer of glass here you can't see behind there, but there is glass. And then water, lava, and this is just distributed to save on water, or dang it, on lava, so that we don't have to spend whatever this is, 50 by 30 something, or 50 by 16, I don't know, whatever. We didn't have to use a lot of lava source blocks. I think it was only 51 per level. So yeah, iron golems can actually spawn with glass or lava in their bodies, so that's why this works. We can spawn them with glass and lava here in the water. They'll just die, drops will come out of their feet and get pushed along to the hoppers. So this works pretty well. The lava was Sir Rob Hi-Fi's idea, and to kill them like this and get their drop with hoppers like that was Panda's idea. And you know, it's a little slower than trying to drop the iron golems down and get them out of the village, but it actually isn't really a problem. We've got 30 villagers there, which means we could have up to 3 iron golems spawning at a time, but only very, very rarely do we ever see a third iron golem spawn. Most of the time we've only ever seen 2 at a time, which is more than enough anyway, so it's working quite well. Working very well, actually. But yeah, we did a few more things. In addition to the lava, we, up here, as you can see, that villager, no longer in a minecart. We put him on a piston because the minecart was a little unstable. You could bump him sometimes and it would screw everything up. Or if he was in transition, sometimes he'd catch the top of the doors instead of the bottom of the doors, and it would slightly shift up one of the villages. So, you know, the doors have 2 parts, right? The bottom part here and the top part here. Villager can catch either part. If they catch the top part, then the top block would be connected. If they catch the bottom part, then the bottom block would be connected. And with something that delicate, we decided to be a little bit more precise and go with pistons instead of minecarts. So we've got a villager on a piston there, and then a corresponding one on a piston there. So they just connect to these doors whenever that signal switches, which is just switching by that T flip-flop there that JL added. So basically the same idea for phase 2 as Tango's farm, but using pistons instead of minecart. Let's see, what else did we change? Of course, we've got the second layer, and to do that we had to have complete transparency all the way down to the second layer. The second layer is all run from this top layer. That's what the instant wire on the side is for. And we also had to, you know, do some little tricks like hoppers here with redstone wire across, because this actually lets the light down. So that's a pretty cool trick. Let's see. This instant wire, JL already talked about it. This is adapted from a version of Seth Bling's instant wire that he showed in one of his snapshot videos. The way it works is this line here is always powered, and when this extends, it instantly connects. And then because these sticky pistons update, or they retract pretty much immediately if you give them an update when you're removing power. That's what we're doing here. It will retract and extend, or it will power and unpower instantly on both edges, which is what we want. It simplifies the wiring a lot, so, and the timing, of course. So yeah, let's see. Those are the big changes with the way the farm works. We also did some changes, or I also did some changes to the reset here. So in Tango's reset version, there's actually a slight issue where if you try to reset it while it's resetting, it gets in a very strange state, and the result is the farms usually don't work quite right, and you have to actually run the reset again after all of that finishes to get it right. So, or you could manually reset everything. Either way, it's a little bit of a pain, so I changed things around, and now everything is working so that whenever you do a reset, everything is reset from a blank slate. So this hopper setup here, when you do a reset, it's supposed to only have one item in here, or one or two, just a couple of items, so that the timer is basically reset, but this is powered. You also want the thing on the top, you want the item to be in the first of the hopper chain, and you also need to reset some stuff over on the satellite over there. So doing a lot of stuff to make sure that all of that is in place, and I'll go through those just briefly in a moment here. But basically, same idea, just a more clean reset version. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. You can actually see that we have a reset running right now. See, some of those pistons are up and some of them aren't. Maybe we, by the end of the episode, see some iron golems spawning in here, but right now, because it's resetting, you won't see anything. So anyway, let's get started with the reset. Right here, I've got a little switch. If we turn this on, it locks the repeater here, which can disable the auto reset, or if you turn it off, enable the auto reset. The auto reset signal comes from here, so locking that repeater will prevent the signal from going to this reset system here, which is powered by this button or by this repeater. The way it works is a couple of RS latches here. The first one controls whether or not a timer, let me actually go underneath so you can see. So we've got a timer here. This is one of Ethos style timers. This is pretty short, but what it does is when the RS latch gets reset, this can start running, and when it runs, it will keep running until a signal comes up here. When it comes up there, it will set that RS latch and prevent the timer from running. So basically the idea is it will do some stuff, send a signal up, and then lock itself. And the stuff that it does is actually controlling this AND gate. So the first time, it will do a reset on this RS latch, which is part of this AND gate. So basically it does one count of the timer, and the thing will go sending the 40 items there back and forth, and then it will come through and do another. So this torch will be off after the first one, and then after the second one, this torch will go off, turning off this power here, sending a signal up there, resetting everything, and then, you know, actually starting the main reset. So in the meantime though, while that timer is running, a second signal will also come down here, and this signal, as you can see, it's a little it splits up quite a bit, but what it does is here it will turn off the RS latch on the top. This is the main RS latch, and then it will turn it back on. The reason it's doing that is basically to simulate an end of cycle signal. So it simulates that the system has been running, and then it simulates saying that, okay, it's done, and turn it off. And what happens is, when this becomes unpowered, when this top RS latch is this one right here, is reset, this hopper can reset this. This is a hopper dropper counter. This can reset by refilling here. This will start counting. It retracts this piston, so this side gets unpowered. Basically, this becomes inactive so that it feeds only in one direction. And then once it feeds in that direction, this whole setup here, there's a pulse shortener which goes in and extends a little piston here to stop a signal. It basically just is a way of getting one item in this side, and as soon as one item is in that side, this thing locks. Everything gets locked into place, so it's perfect for a reset, and it's ready to go for the next cycle. I'll show you the state of this when it's when this phase 1 is done, and you'll see what I mean. And then there's some other lines too. The other line goes up here. Let me see if I can get out here and show you. Yeah. So there's in Tango's version you have these two, but in this version there's a third one. Let me just go up to the top. Come on, come on, come on. There isn't really an easy way to the top. We've just got this ladder here, which I guess will work. Ooh, lag. Audio lag. Come on, okay. So yeah, the third signal will come up to the top here, and I've just got another latch. This one's a little different. It just powers this. This sets it. So then the power will turn off this here. These are slabs, by the way, so the power won't go down through there. It turns this off, which permanently, well, not permanently, but it disables this hopper locking thing. So the item wherever the item is, could be in the middle, it could be on the end, could be right here, but wherever it is, it will get sent to the dropper here, and I just take the automatic firing of this dropper. I'll just take that signal and send it up to reset the latch. So pretty simple. The signal just sets the latch, lets the item go through. When the item gets to the end, the signal will reset the latch, which will once again lock the hoppers, and by that time the item will reach the end and get into its proper position. This whole system also, as a result, because of the dropper at the end, will reset the RS latch here, which is important for phase 2. Basically, it says disable phase 2 and reset phase 2. So important stuff there. This is just in case the reset gets run well. For some reason, phase 2 is out of order. And then the last bit here for the reset is this second line going out to the satellite. And this pretty much just reset. It's a little messy because we had to cram in a bunch of wiring, or because I had to cram in a bunch of wiring. But the idea is pretty simple. Almost done with phase 1 there. You can see only a few of those are still extended. But anyway, don't let me get distracted. Right here you can see it sends a signal up, and back here it also sends a signal this way. There are 2 RS latches that have to be reset for this hopper dropper timer or counter. When this gets reset, you can see it would feed that back in here, and this one up here as well, which right now isn't running, but when it is, you can see how that would work. And then for a brief duration, let me get up here so you can see, it will also, we've got another latch, just for a few ticks, 5 repeaters worth of ticks. It turns off this torch, so this will retract and allow all of these pistons to fall before it extends again. Basically just, if phase 1 is running, it'll completely reset phase 1 on this side as well. So that's the main part of the reset that is different. Now it does a perfect reset. Well, I mean, we assume that it's perfect. There could be something wrong if something was really weird or really laggy, or I don't know, villagers escaping, but if the redstone works perfectly, then it should be fine. And of course this, for the reset line here, whenever we get iron coming through here, it sends a pulse to keep that latch on the reset timer reset. By the way, you can probably see this here, but during phase 1, we have this coming up here, this signal. This locks the reset during phase 1, and then over here on the side, when phase 2 is running, we have this signal which locks the reset when phase 2 is running. So I don't know if you caught that in Tango's tutorial, but that's what those are for. Actually, I don't think that was in Tango's tutorial, but anyway, that's the reset. I think that's all of it. Like I said, I'll show you more once phase 1 actually finishes, but for now, let's talk about some of the other stuff. Alright, so one of the other things that didn't really get mentioned in the video, so it looks like somebody's actually been taking iron from here. Supply. Both of these chests used to be full, but anyway, what's this sorter thing here? This probably didn't get mentioned, but what it does is it just separates out roses and iron. It's pretty simple how it works. The idea is pretty much just a standard hopper sorter filter. Let me see if I can get a better look at it. But I just did it this way because this is the first thing that came to mind. It was like 2 AM. I don't know, I've never really built one of these before, so just when this is full, that gets powered and it resets this. This is like I'm using pistons and blocks here because you can put them right next to each other, and you know, it just compares here for a signal, and yeah, pretty simple, nothing special, but sorts out iron, which goes down one way, roses the other way, which get dispensed when this is full, so just separates them out. Pretty simple thing. Then below we have another filter that was set up by Rob, which filters out iron and roses, but sometimes it can overflow because we get so many iron golems sometimes. It just completely overwhelms the system. Anyway, I think phase 1 is about to finish now, so as soon as it does, I'll tell you a little bit about how this reset goes. Actually, we can watch it in action, so let's just sit here for a moment. Let's see. Yeah, as soon as this empties, I think it will start. So let's see if we can watch it. So we'll empty, you see that locks, then this comes around, locks the system after this gets 1. It was pretty quick, don't know if you caught it all, but here's the pulse shortener. Basically that goes up, and when this is set, it can lock that in place and then send power over here to lock this, locking the counter here, which puts it in this perfect state. And it will do that every time you know, if you turn off the power from here on the top and then turn it back on, it will pretty much put it in this state anytime. And that's the idea. It's pretty neat, pretty cool. I'd love to give you an example download, but unfortunately we're not giving out the world download for this, so not yet. Maybe later. Maybe I'll show it in a video or something later, but pretty cool. So I think that's actually all the main things for this farm that are different. Maybe there's something I'm missing, and maybe there's something somebody could point out, but I think that's those are the main points. Right now phase 2 is running, so we might start to hear iron golems spawning at some point, but oh yeah, we also built these big walls. Let me see, down here you can see it's pretty dark. It's because we have walls here. This is something that you wouldn't have to worry about anyway if you just did one, because probably be on ground level and you know, you wouldn't have this big airspace. But the idea is, because sunlight can come through here, it could leak over the edges underneath here, so you'd have like 14, 15, 16, or sorry, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, etc. When you don't block all of that off, when it's actually able to change when the sunlight changes, what will happen is when the pistons move and the sunlight level does change, it causes all of those to update, and that's a huge area, 14 by however far down this is like 70 blocks. So 14 by 70 by 32 would get updated, which is pretty pretty intense lighting updates. So we put up these walls to prevent that, and yeah. So you can see down here, we don't actually have much wiring here. This is just empty. And then we've got the villager here controlled by the instant wire. All we need is the villagers to be controlled by the instant wire. We don't actually need any of the other wiring because it's all controlled by the pistons at the top. In fact, if we had extra pistons down here, it would be a nightmare to try to time. So to avoid that completely, everything's just run by the top. See, we've got quite a bit of iron in here. Already 17 double chests of iron ingots, pretty much. But yeah, I think that's all. I would talk about more, but I can't think of anything more. Oh yeah, there is one more thing. So we also changed the layout of the doors. So if you're going to use the villagers in the pistons instead of the villagers in the minecarts, you'll have to change the doors a little bit. So if you see that guy that just moved, you want to use the guy on the side and the guy on the top instead of just one in a minecart. The second layer of doors actually does have to change. So you see here on this well, second and third layer of doors, we've got, this is our north direction this way, east direction that way. On the east direction we have 4 doors. It's the same on the top, there are 4 doors. And on the west direction we have 2 doors. 2 doors. So 4, 4, 2, 2. I think the light thing will still line up in the same part right here, I believe. But this is the format for the doors that you'd have to use if you go with this other design with the pistons instead of the minecarts, because otherwise it's not in the right location if you use the old design. Basically, they just have to connect to the right place. So that's what we were doing with that. Now I think that's all. So let's go up to the top here, see how far along it is. If it's far enough along, maybe we can see... Oh no! Maybe we can see some golems spawning, and you can see how quickly they actually die. Climbing up the ladder slowly. Pigmen. There's the lock for phase... Oh, dang it! No, no, no. Well, that's not too important. It just locks during phase 2, so it's fine. But I didn't mean to hit it. Doesn't control anything other than that. So phase 2 is about this far, which means we should hear iron golems dying. Let's go check it out. I think I just heard a note block. Maybe not. Maybe not yet. Alright, so we skipped ahead a bit. You can see now we have the reset is done and the iron golem farm is running. So I think that we can call this an end of the episode. So I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, I guess. Bye.